Hi there, my name is Graham Schamberger, and I am a part of Lab 31, and we are Team 4 talking about the future of the workplace. So I wanted to start out by just giving you an overview as to what this presentation is going to consist of. So we'll start out by talking about the impact that COVID-19 had on local businesses, and then give you our statement of the problem, essentially where what the issue is, and then give you a little more background information on that issue, as well as some definitions to go along with that. Then we'll start diving into what the future of work looks like, a couple of companies that have specifically implemented different types of working schedules, and then what our specific version of the future of work would look like. And then we'll touch on a couple potential issues as well as some solutions to those issues, and as well as recommendations. And then we'll conclude that all together at the end. So I'll go ahead and pass this to my colleague, Tristan.
Hello, my name is Tristan Peralta, and I will be going over the impact of COVID-19 on local businesses. So in Austin, Texas, there already were remote working options, but there were not nearly as much. And so actually the percentage went from 100 to 244% as soon as the pandemic happened because people needed just to distance themselves so that they don't catch COVID. And by doing this, they definitely reduced a lot of the number of cases, but whenever it was at its peak, there were 82,110 confirmed cases of COVID-19 in Travis County.
All right, I'm Harry Bravo, and I'll be going over the statement of the problem. So, because of COVID-19, this really affected the workplace in our society, causing a lot of employees to transition to hybrid or remote work. And this basically adjusted the way they worked for a few years. Coming out of COVID-19, many have had to revert back to original style just because their workplace required it. But some others kind of had a division where they can still stay in that form of hybrid or remote work, which causes a lot of problems within our workplaces nowadays. Some of these problems may include the need for the right tools. This would be technology or any systems that they would need that they would usually use in those companies. They can be less connected to a company's culture, so not being around, they're not going to be part of that family lifestyle or whatever they're trying to produce within their values. This also may cause an impact on relationships, any collaborations in the future. So whether that's with their own groups or within, acquiring deals with other companies, not being around can really affect them, and it makes them adjust in a new way to essentially make those collaborations. Their work processes may be disrupted due to distractions. Being at home, you feel more comfortable, so you're in more of a social isolation. Being around your animals, being around your family members may affect it. They may need you a lot more, so it changes the way you may work as well. Having to work around that. Being in a different time zone can affect how employees work as well. So being in another state or being in another country, you might have to start work earlier. You might have to stay later just to stay aligned with the other workers. So that way you're all working together. Really changes how they work as well there. Internet connections as well. Not being in the office, you may not have the most optimum internet, so you have to make sure you're on top of it, making sure that your internet is to the T on that, and that you're not falling behind. We'll go ahead and pass it on to the next slide.
Hello, my name is Nicholas Smith, and I will be discussing what is remote work. According to VMware.com, remote work is the practice of employees doing their jobs from a location other than a central office operated by the employer. Such locations could include an employee's home, a co-working or other shared space, a private office, or any other place outside of the traditional corporate office building or campus. Remote work was first introduced in the late 1990s, and many companies began adopting the work style as employees' flexibility and satisfaction increased greatly. As technology advanced, year in and year out, more companies kept adopting remote work, and as more people gained access to laptops and all that. Obviously, COVID-19 forced many companies to adopt remote work, and after experiencing great success, began to implement remote work permanently within their companies. Next slide, we have benefits of remote work. First, I'm going to highlight a couple key points on the employee side. Obviously, working from home remotely, you're saving a lot of money. You're not having to worry about commuting to work, and you're also getting improved work-life balance and improved productivity. On the business side, reduced costs. Businesses now are not having to rent out huge corporate offices. And also with hiring and recruiting, you have a larger talent pool. You can pull anyone from any state. Obviously, with them not having to commute to work, they can be in San Francisco and your headquarters can be in New York, and it can still work out. And next, I'm going to pass it on to my colleague, Graham.
Alrighty, and I just wanted to touch on what exactly hybrid work is. The definition, according to Oxford Dictionary, hybrid work is a flexible working arrangement in which employees work partly at home and partly in the office, which is self-explanatory enough. But during and after the pandemic, hybrid work's relevancy in the office increased significantly. Hybrid work actually started long before the pandemic, with flexible working and teleworking gaining popularity first with the emergence of personal computers in the 1970s, and then with the internet in the 1990s. And this is just really relevant because although hybrid work didn't emerge with the pandemic, its popularity surely did. And that's definitely what we're looking at the future of our workforce looking like. And I'll go ahead and pass this on to my colleague. Oh, just kidding. It's me. So now a little bit of background information and why are we here in this work environment situation, kind of. Obviously, once again, COVID-19 is the main reason and the force behind why this is such a relevant topic of discussion nowadays. But one of the issues is that COVID-19 did force many organizations into hybrid or remote work for their first time. And it was with little or no preparation for the employers or the employees. So they really didn't necessarily have the tools for success in implementing hybrid or remote work. But if you were able to kind of take the time to properly do that, it would definitely be implemented at a much more successful rate. And according to a survey that was conducted in May, only 4% of employers that they were interviewing were going to make their employees return to the office full time, and less than half, at 45% of employers, are going to require the staff to return to the office a full 5 days a week. And I'll go ahead and pass this on to my colleague. Nick, you're muted.
Next, we're going to discuss this chart conducted by Pew Research Center. If you look at the prime of COVID in October 2020, 64% of workers' offices were closed. Therefore, 71% of employees were working at home most or all the time. But then if you look at January 2022, only 38% of their workplaces were closed, but only a slight decrease in how many people were staying home and working at home at 59%. So that's just something we wanted to highlight right there. Next, I'm gonna pass it on to my colleague.
Jason, what does the future of work look like? Technology driven, artificial intelligence, home office, less community, work-life balance, and equality. For technology driven, it's for virtual meetings, flexible office spaces, and no more face-to-face communication. For artificial intelligence, it would improve work from home environments, bring in much needed, having better communication because you're on the phone, you get to the email, you have virtual meetings, and even allow for security because you're at home, you get to guard your own stuff. No one's trying to steal your work or anything like that. And in home offices, you work from home, you're closer to family, safe and comfortable space because you're in your own space. You feel comfortable. You don't feel like no one's bothering you or anything. And less commuting, that means you save money. You don't have to waste money on gas. Gas is super high. I don't know how it's going to be. And also you don't have to worry about the stress of traffic, work-to-life balance. You don't feel like you're always going to be consumed in work. You are able to live your life and have a good life because work is not going to be consuming you. And equality, everyone has a say in whatever opportunity in the organization, and you're also able to move up in organization, room for growth, and fairness throughout the organization. And now for the next slide.
So some major remote companies have already adopted hybrid or fully remote work options. There's a lot more that are listed on the slide, but some main ones include Adobe, Apple, Capital One, Google, and Spotify. Adobe now offers remote options for employees. Apple includes hybrid options. Capital One and Google both do hybrid with other fully remote options for employees, depending on which one's more comfortable and suits you better. And Spotify also does hybrid remote working options.
The future of work. The future of work for me and my team would involve a lot of video conferences and group messages. In the world we're living in now, with the technology we have and the want to distance ourselves from other people for our own safety and peace of mind, it is important to us to pursue this opportunity. The future of work for us looks like working from remote locations such as our homes or coffee shops, or even working with a coworker together in their home. In the post-COVID world, it is much more desired to work remotely or in a flexible situation. An example of a desired work situation would be to go to the office or clinic twice a week to check in with coworkers and make sure everything is getting done that needs to be done. And another example of a desired work situation would be to work entirely remotely. Some doctors' offices have moved entirely to telehealth communications, which involves seeing patients over a video call.
Hi, I'm Catherine Blau. One issue that employers might face when going to a hybrid remote work plan would be their employees not having the proper tools to complete their work. Some examples of these tools would be computers, laptops, microphone headsets, or webcams. According to the graph, computers are the most important tool needed in order to do work at home. A solution for this issue would be for the company to provide or issue these devices if needed. So that would be like some employees may have a company laptop that they use for work at home. Next slide. Some more problems that employers might face would be the employees not knowing how to use the online platforms, distractions, and communication problems. In order to solve these problems, companies could provide training so that the employees would learn how to operate the platforms without having to figure it out as they go. Distractions would be a bit more difficult to solve, especially if they're working at home. A possible way to solve this would be to monitor the productiveness of the employee, and if it declines beyond a certain point, to bring it up with them. Also, since face-to-face communication isn't really an option, making regular messages would be important. However, to avoid miscommunication of all these messages should be clear and easy to understand. Now we'll move on to the recommendations.
Recommendations to attract and retain employees: how to: attractive and ethical culture, work flexibility, room for growth, employee-oriented equals job satisfaction, employees' physical and mental health priority, offer bonuses, competitive compensation, and reach out to new players and job security. How to: unattractive, how to attract attractive and ethical culture. Just that the employee will always do their work, always allow employees to have a comfortable and safe place. Keep work fun. That's what all employees want. Work flexibility, have their own work flexibility, work-life balance, room for growth, able to move up an organization, able to have opportunities to have a better job position, employee-oriented and job satisfaction, because the employee, this will allow job satisfaction because employees who care about the employees will allow them to have perform better, and employees' physical and mental health and priority. This allows them to always be at their best and always do their best. Offering bonus and compensation pay. If you do this, then employees will stay because they know that you care for them, and they know that they have value. And reach out to new hires so you can attract more employees, get the better employees and job security life is always changing. We don't know what would happen with maybe another COVID or something, but always having that so they could work. And why attract them? Hire smarter people. They will get things done. They understand your expectation and they understand their potential. They're confident, make smart decisions for organization, diversity. It acknowledges the individual strengths of each employee and the potential they bring. So this would lead into complementing your skill set. They help expand your skill set. And then by expanding your skill set, they challenge you to learn and learn more skills. And then the learner mindset is just being able to accept, being able to have people challenge you and just learn from everyone because we learn something new every day. Next slide.
So in conclusion, after a recent study, 64% of workers said they would consider quitting if asked to return to their offices for full-time work. So it is very evident that the majority of people do not want to return to their offices and work full-time positions, being stuck in a non-remote position. It is crucial that we continue to allow remote and hybrid options to help all workers succeed in future positions. As of 2022, approximately 91 million Americans are already working remotely. Discontinuing these remote positions would be catastrophic for future businesses and current businesses as well. Getting rid of those jobs would hurt a lot of people and make it difficult for companies to start remote positions in the future. Here's our references, and thank you for watching our presentation.